So hello and welcome to Digital PR Uncovered with Reflect Digital. I'm Joanna Earle, I'm Head of Content and Digital PR at Reflect Digital.
And I'm Morgan Rodway-Wing, Senior Content and Digital PR Executive at Reflect Digital.
And today we are going to discuss how we secured over 350 pieces of coverage for our client Hopes Grove Nurseries in 2024. So firstly, we'll go through the objectives and the strategy that we put together, the reactive PR bits that we did, the proactive PR bits that we were working on, tips for seasonal digital PR as well, the tools we use, and then the overall results. So firstly, objectives and strategy. So the goal was to build links. So that's fast, reactive PR. So that's newsjacking, quick turnaround wins that we were working on. The next goal was to build brand authority. So that's proactive content-led campaigns centered around data trends, seasonality, and fun, relevant quizzes that we could do as well. And then we wanted to own the hedge plant and the relevant gardening conversations that were happening in the media. So that's all based on the seasonal planning to align with planting and gardening cycles. So our main strategy then was to do, so basically what we do is to look at the monitoring. So that's monitoring the news, monitoring social listening, monitoring TikTok, anything and everything. So Facebook, things like that. Then it's identifying those opportunities and then creating content around those opportunities, and then the outreach. So that's the proactive and reactive PR. And with all that is testing and learning. So what did we learn? What went right? What didn't go quite so right? Where we could have developed things further. So yeah, that's essentially the strategy we put together for Hopes Grove last year. So with reactive PR, so reactive PR is about monitoring the news cycle, identifying opportunities and responding quickly with a thoughtful, strategic approach. So each month we work regularly with journalists at a variety of publications, the most being from Ideal Home, Woman in Home and Top 10 Reviews. They generally want expert commentary from our garden expert at Hopes Grove, so that's Morris, who's their director there, and they want gardening tips for any piece of work they're working on. So the aim of this is to be really quick and to help build those relationships, and make sure that they can trust us, that they want to keep coming back to us for those expert tips, and to be seen as trustworthy and relevant, etc. The pieces can range from the sublime to the ridiculous. Each opportunity, though, helps us to achieve our KPIs, so being links and that brand awareness. And ultimately, it helps to build our relationships with those journalists and secure the links in those publications. And you can see here a few examples of like the response that we get. Like, you know, we're really quick, it's amazing, you've made our day. So to be quick and on the pulse, that's just exactly what we want, for them to keep coming back to us literally every week, isn't it, Morgan, at the moment?
All the time.
All the time. Proactive PR though, so this is to develop and execute a strategy that enables us to set the tone of the content that we're outreaching for our clients. So each month we create content, so that's data-led pieces, how-to, top tips pieces. We write the pitches and the press releases, and then we source the media contacts, and then we outreach. So how-to and top tips, so this is things like what to plant in particular months, or it's how to look after a particular hedge in the winter, what to plant now ahead of spring and summer, which we are working on at the moment, and knowing this can also be used for reactive PR too. So if we get the commentary in from our experts, we're ready to go ahead of time, but also we've got that content ready if a journalist was to come to us and say, hey, have you got a particular piece of commentary on spring gardening tips? We have already got that banked. We then do some nice fun bits, which is like brain teasers. So Morgan, you can discuss the one that we did for Hopes Grove, which is what we've got an example here.
Yes,
for them.
So this was for Valentine's Day. So we wanted something that connected plants and a very like earthly loving activity with national interest. So we actually worked with a behavioural psychologist who gave expert commentary about our brain teaser. And essentially, if you saw the trees first, you maybe weren't ready for love. If you saw the woman's face first, then maybe you were ready for love. And it was a really nice way to tie in national interest with plants.
Yeah, and it got picked up in the likes of the Mirror, the Sun, Daily Express, I expect as well. I think it went everywhere, but it's just a really nice piece that we can do for our client that's fun, it's interactive, that engages audiences, and it helps get those links if that's one of your KPIs as well. And what are the differences between bare root and root ball? So in early 2024, the director Morris told us that he had a surplus in bare root plants that needed to be sold. So we launched a campaign to educate and inform people on the differences between the two and the benefits of each. And we offered this actually as an exclusive to the journalist who works for PA, so that's a press association. And this was then circulated to the likes of The Independent, The Daily Express, The Mirror, which was basically why gardeners should be buying bare root plants. And that was then coming from using expert commentary from Morris and really giving that informative piece to link back to the Hopesgrove Nursery's website. So that's a really nice campaign that we did for them to essentially to help him to sell the bare root plants. So there's one bigger piece that we've actually done is so all about privacy hedges. Again, with insight from the SEO team that we work with regularly, they told us that the keyword laurel hedges was actually down one particular month. So we were like, okay, we can help you guys with this. And we jumped on this essentially straight away to help to improve this. So we put together a simple but effective campaign, outreach into top tier and trade press, the best hedges for privacy, and that is essentially laurel hedges, with again advice and tips from Morris himself. And the results are great. So we secure coverage in the likes of the Daily Express, The Independent, LD Home, and actually we still get coverage to this day because it is such a topical thing and it's quite seasonal as well. So we had a lot of interest, you'll see later on. We had a lot of interest in February, and again, we had a lot of interest in August, potentially where people are looking to move home. They want to see, see if their garden is overlooked and how they can prevent people looking in if they are moving. So that was a really nice piece. We secured tons of coverage for that, and it essentially helps to boost the laurel hedges keyword as well for SEO. So some tips for seasonal digital PR, which is a big thing, again, as we discussed for Hopesgrove. So if you're looking at spring, so it's kind of things like what to plant now, garden prep guides, Easter content as well. So journalists are always looking for fresh, uplifting, practical advice. It's that time of year. I think you've got a bit on this in your next webinar as well about seasonality and how that taps into behavioural approach as well.
Yeah, so it taps into the idea called the fresh start effect. So this is particularly relevant in spring. So spring is all about new beginnings, fresh starts, and people are more motivated to engage with and convert in seasonal times, such as like the start of a quarter, the start of a year. So having the spring be the start of the animals and rebirth and things like that, and plants starting to grow, it's a really great time for journalists to really go with the gardening content.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then summer, so it's things like outdoor living, barbecues, drought-tolerant planting. We do a lot of that for Hopesgrove. Sometimes it can be storms as well in summer, which can just throw us off a little bit. And then pest control, things like rats, etc. in the garden. Ideal for features with vibrant visuals and expert tips again, and then leveraging trending summer lifestyle content. And then in autumn, so it's autumn planting, hedging, Halloween tie-ins as much as you can. We have done a lot with that. And then, so take it the garden to the table, so things like potatoes to dinners for your roasts or whatever. Tomatoes, that's another big one we get as well. Again, it may not be that Morris's speciality, he doesn't actually plant tomatoes, but he can talk around it. And it's again that is being seen in these publications and that brand awareness and authority. Pitch stories that align with cosy, sustainable or DIY themes, and you love all that. You love your coziness.
My favourite time of year.
Which is great. And then journalists plan ahead for end of year content, so get in early. It's really important. Autumn is a key time, whatever sector you're in, to really hone in on what's coming up at Christmas and into the new year too, because that's when journalists are planning. And then you've got the winter, so evergreen care, planning for spring, festive greenery, beat the January blues, anything you can do like that. Again, gardening is really great if you look at mental health side of things, so how it can help with your mental health. If you've got, is it Blue Monday in January? If you can tie into that as well, then that's really great, and how it can help alleviate things like that. And then less competition, so there's more visibility for that evergreen advice. And we have done a gardening calendar, haven't we, for January before, and that's got some really good success.
Yeah, it's really great in January or in the sort of winter months, any time of year, to do gardening roundups, planting roundups, because then it's actually a campaign that journalists will go to at different times of the year. Or if you've also spoken about them, journalists know that you're an expert on that content, so when they're writing about those specific plants, they can contact you throughout the year.
Perfect. Just a few tips. So best practices is always to monitor the news cycle, so piggyback on relevant headlines, so weather, environmental news that may be happening, as we mentioned before. Prioritise journalist relationships, so be a reliable and go-to source, and go to the journalists that you know that you've got really good relationships with. We have got really key ones. We know we're going to go to them. They're not only relevant, but they're the ones that are going to keep coming back to you. You're going to build those relationships. Solve your clients' pain points, let their goals guide your pitch. Don't just do something for the sake of it. Yes, you can do a brain teaser and they are great, but don't if that's not actually what your client wants or needs. It's more about the relevancy and getting into those publications where you're going to get good results from and going to get clicks through to your website. And keep it simple. So a well-timed what to plant now campaign can outperform a really flashy creative campaign sometimes, as much as they're great and they're useful for some clients. It actually, like the what to plant now, does us a lot. It's much better for us at the moment. It was really great last year. I'm just going to cover a bit of the tools we use to do all this. So we use Majestic to look at the trust flow and citation flow scores of the website to see how healthy a website is. And then we also use Coverage Book. So this looks at, we basically pop all the links in that we get each month, and this will look at sort of the how many links we've got, how many pieces of coverage, the reach, the engagement, which is actually really a nice metric, which we like to see is how many people engage with it, because I think that's really useful. Meltwater gives us a social listening, so if it's positive or negative. If it's negative, can we identify that and can we look at that, and if is it an issue? It might not be. We look at the keywords that are trending as well, so if we're tapping into those keywords, that's also great. And it also gives us, I'll go into it in a bit, but it also allows us to look at the monetary value behind that as well. So if it's how much we could be saving by not advertising on those publications. We obviously use SEO tools, so SEMrush and Ahrefs to help identify any content, to look at a domain rating, which is obviously what we really want to be focusing on. And Google Ads, you probably use this the most.
Yeah, I use Google Ads Keyword Planner every single day. It's really great to look around key topics. So for example, if we were doing the privacy campaign, we'd look at privacy hedging, any searches, just to see if there's been an increase, and if there is, then that could be a great hook for journalists that show that there actually is interest and relevance in what we're talking about.
Absolutely, it gives us a really nice hook and an angle. So they're kind of the key tools that we would use on a day-to-day basis. And the results for Hope to Grow for this campaign for last year was massive. So we had 369 pieces of coverage with a total of 595 links. Again, that's ticking the box that we had. The KPI that we had was to obtain real good quality links to his website. The engagements are massive, so it's 7.65 thousand engagements, and the impact of that is brilliant. So we used Coverage Book, as we mentioned, and they did a big impact report last year in 2024, which looked at how many pieces of coverage the agencies that used the Coverage Book, how many pieces of coverage that the pieces were engaged with, and actually we were ranked really in the percentage that actually were engaged with, which is fantastic to have and to tell our clients as well. So what we are doing is actually working. And then the domain authority was super high, the average one, but we did go up to about 90. So the 69 is perfect, it's where we want to be, which obviously helps us with SERPs as well, and for that visibility. And then estimated views, so 20.7 million estimated views, the total combined audience of those publications. In terms of Meltwater, as what we were talking about earlier, so we can see here, so Kaylee Dre at Ideal Home is the top journalist who will come to us literally on a daily basis at Ideal Home. So we can really identify these are the ones that actually for this year we can be focusing on as well. And practically everyone we mention here is related to the next one, so Women at Home as well. And a lot of these pieces will get circulated on the likes of MSN and Yahoo, so they do actually count as links and pieces of coverage too. And then we've got the sentiment breakdown, so it's positive, which is really great. Neutral is absolutely where we want to be. If there's one little negative, it might just be because it's damaged plants in summer or something like that. So there's a bit of negativity around that. It doesn't actually mean it's a negative piece that we need to be worried about. So sentiment breakdown is great, but you do need to tap into that and to see what's is it actually negative. And you can see here the mentions trend by news media type. So in February it spiked, and it also spiked in August, and that's when we launched the privacy campaign. So we can see here actually that was great for us as well. And then also I'm just going to pick up the total AVE again, so that's 8.9 million saved if we were to be advertising on these sites. So for our client, he really likes to see that worth, which is fantastic. And we can also see here again that the Nosy Neighbours campaign was the highest potential editorial reach. So again, that works. It's something we can keep looking into, and we are looking, and we're still doing this year as well. So that's fantastic. And then, as I mentioned with Majestic, so our tool that we use, which measures trust flow and citation flow. So in January 2024, we're at 29 in trust flow and 20 for citation flow. So it's quite below our competitors. Trust flow goes from 0 to 100. So it is quite low. By May this year, actually, so it's 38 trust flow and 26 citation flow. So we're getting a huge boost. We did see a big dip. I think that was just in Google, their Google algorithms and the Google updates that we had. So we all took a spike, a dip, but we are all coming back up, and we are now, similar to our competitors, which is, again, is a good benchmarking tool for us to see where we are. Are we doing the right thing? Which we are, which is great. And then I popped this in the site visibility, so in line with the SEO as well. So between the 1st of January 2024 and the 6th of January 2025, the site's visibility rose by 25.9.4 increase in search visibility. So both channels working together and paid as well meant that we did see a real nice visibility increase, which is fantastic to see. And I think that's it. So thank you very much for watching Digital PR Uncovered, and we'll see you next time.